What's up, everybody? Tony VT. I'm gonna show you how to get the timeshare points reservations you want. A lot of people, when I worked in the business, like the number one complaint I would always get is you can't get reservations on your points, which yeah, you can't. It's pretty difficult. So a lot of times you'll go online, you'll be like, I want to go on a ski trip, and it's November, and you want to go December, January, February, all the rooms are booked up. You want to go to 4th of July or a major holiday at one of the resorts, it's all booked up. I don't have the dog today, so no dog in the video, but it's a nice balmy rainy day, so she won't come outside. So what do you do when you can't get the reservations you want? So I have a couple techniques that I use to do it. I used to book at the last minute, but my second strategy that I'll give you is the one I use that I found the best, but like everybody's different, obviously, so I'll try to just give you a couple techniques on what you can do, because a lot of times when you go on there, what you want is not available, especially if you have kids and you're trying to use any timeshare when the kids are out of school. It's I wouldn't say impossible, but it's pretty tough from what I've seen. I think I worked for like 4 or 5 different developers, and everybody usually had the same problem. So what you need to do is know that if you're going to stay on weekends or major holidays, those are obviously the hardest times to get, just like why hotels charge more, because it's just more popular, obviously. So ideally you want to plan ahead on those things. Oh my guy missed stuff. All right, so you want to plan ahead on those. That's going to be your ultimate advantage. However, I don't know if you watch my other videos, but the waiting list. So if you want to go to any of these resorts for pretty much any timeshare developer, pretty sure 90% of them have the waiting list. And the reason you want to use the waiting list is because there's a 20% cancellation in all hotels and resorts and timeshare resorts, because people get sick and the dog gets sick and the job changes and the reason for going changes. So a lot of people cancel reservations. With our business, we rent out timeshares. It's probably like a 20-something% cancellation rate. So if you're on the waiting list, that's the best way to get what you want. So some of them are online. Most of them, though, you have to call the people on the phone, the booking agents, to get put on the waiting list. Some you can do like on chat. We primarily do Marriott, which in my opinion is the best timeshare by far. They have the most availability, it looks like, from what we're seeing. So their waiting list you can do on chat. They have a chat feature now. You can do it on that. Oh, now it's really starting to rain. It's really starting to rain now. Okay, so you can do it on chat. You can do it on the phone, obviously. Worldmark has it where you can do it online. I believe Wyndham, I can't remember if Wyndham does or not, but most of them you can you at least do the chat or call in. You can look on your booking screen for whatever developer you own with and see if they have a wait list feature, or if it says not available, maybe you can put it on the wait list somehow. But if not, you're just gonna have to call. And then some of them have different kinds of waiting lists too, like Worldmark. They have like 3 levels of the waiting list, and like level 1 is you have like a 95% chance of getting it. Level 2 is you have like a 60-70% chance of getting it, and level 3 is probably not. And then sometimes they won't even put you on the waiting list because there's no chance in heck you'd get that reservation. So obviously try to book as far ahead as possible, and that's my technique. I actually learned that from an owner. Everything I learned from either the owners or somebody had been in the business for a long time. And what they said is just book your reservations out. So what I did is I started booking my reservations out like a year in advance. I put on my goal sheet, hey, I want to take 3 trips a year or 2 trips a year or whatever it was. And then I would just book it like a year in advance. And it was a really cool thing, because one of the best parts of vacation is the leading up to it, like knowing you're gonna get to go somewhere, especially when you have a job. Now that I own a business, I don't really care that much, but when you had a job, it was like you had something to look forward to. You're like, I'm not gonna have to be at work, get a break. You don't have to do the same old thing, go see somewhere new, or even, I didn't even go anywhere. We always went to like the same places, but it was just good to get out of town, you know. So booking your trips far out. So say you are like a school teacher, or you have kids and you have to go when the kids are out of school. We'll call ahead and book some reservations out that you think you might want to do, or plan your trips out like a year in advance. I know it's not ideal for everybody, and everybody can't do it. If you're last minute planners, well then timeshare is kind of a pain in the, you know what. So especially if you're last minute planner. So your best way, if you're a last minute planner, is to do the waiting list, especially if you're trying to do those sold out reservations, those holidays, special events, things of that nature. I used to work with this girl, Jamie, and she was like the master at the waiting list. She would get her owners like penthouses in Anaheim like 3 weeks ahead of time for spring break, and using the waiting list. But she would do a trick where she would get on the waiting list for each night, and then because one night was more likely to come up than all 4 nights at the same time. So she would wait list each night, and then when the reservations would come through, and then she would just call the resort and have them piece it together so they stayed in the same room. Now that one doesn't always work because, you know, if you don't get the middle night or whatever, then you're kind of SOL, but it is a trick. It does work. I don't know if it's a trick, but a way to work the system. I guess that's what tricks are. So you could do that. You can plan your trips out. So plan them out, because you can always cancel them, and then just put a note in your phone, like, depending upon the rules of where you own with, hey, 60 days before the check-in date, put a note on your phone to make sure and cancel that reservation if you don't think you're going to end up being able to go. But what I found is when you book it out like a year out, you just subconsciously know you're going. You start making plans. You don't take any appointments during that week or schedule anything during those weeks, if possible, because you already know you're going. So it makes it really easy to schedule, to get the time off of work. And you know, there's an old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So planning is indispensable, even if the plan doesn't go to plan, but you got to plan. So I would book out your reservations far in advance. Like if you like to go 3 nights, 4 days, then book out 3 nights, 4 days, wherever. And then a lot of the waiting lists, you can put like multiple places on the waiting list. So you're like, well, I want to go these 3 nights, but I don't care if I go to this one in Anaheim, or that one in Anaheim, or this one in San Diego, or this one in Orlando, or these 4 in Orlando. If your developer has multiple properties there, like most of them do. So you can usually get on wait lists for multiple properties. And then what happens is it's all ran by computers nowadays. So when somebody cancels their reservation, it goes to whoever's on the waiting list first. It doesn't go into the general inventory. So, you know, the likelihood of you going online at the exact moment somebody happened to cancel their reservation and pick that up, it doesn't really work that way. It'll go to whoever's on the waiting list first. So especially if you're doing holidays and things, there will be more people on the waiting list. From my experience, like 95% of people I ever talked to never even knew there was a waiting list. So if just by using the waiting list, you're gonna have a extremely high chance of getting it. Now, it might take a week or so to get the reservation. It could take a month, could take 2 months. I mean, obviously it depends on how far ahead your request is and what you're trying to get. So you can call ahead and book it. Use the waiting list. You can use the waiting list for multiple resorts. You can use it for multiple regions too. Like you could say, oh, well, I just want to go on a ski trip. I don't care if I go to Vail or Colorado, or Tahoe, Big Bear, whatever. So you can pick different areas too a lot of times on the waiting list. So you just call whoever you own with, Holiday Inn or Diamond, and ask them, you know, what the rules of the waiting list are, and then try to fit it into your lifestyle, and it'll make your timeshare a lot easier to use, and you'll actually be able to get what you want, and you don't get stuck with points at the end of the year. But if you do, we can rent them out for you, but well, not if they're going to expire in like 60 days or 30 days. We can try in those instances, but we can't guarantee anything. But just wanted to give you some quick thoughts on how to use your timeshare better, how to use your points. We're always here. Timeshare Simplified. If you need help renting out your points, we'll rent them out for, you know, right around your maintenance cost. Because a lot of the timeshare companies rent out a lot of the days online for about the cost of maintenance anyway. So, but at least you have a guaranteed way to get rid of your maintenance fees on years you can't use it. And then, you know, on the years you want to use it, you have it there, but it's not costing you anything there on the years you don't want to use it. So that makes sense. And then we have my book, Timeshare Tips and Tricks. You can get it on Amazon. Walks you through how to rent out your timeshare, how to sell your timeshare if you want to do that, how to use it, little tricks like I just went over, ways to offset your maintenance costs so you're not really paying those. Obviously, you always have to write the check, but there's ways you can offset it if you're smart, especially like if you know, can work remotely and things like that, then you can write off the cost of your trips. So there's other tips in there like that. And then I'm being able to do more videos now that I just combine it with my walk and not do it in, you know, some fancy studio. So it's the same information, just not the green screen, the cool background. But I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or comments or want any other topics for me to cover. All right, thanks. God bless. Take care.